Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
There you go now. I think I'm Oh, let's see. There you go now. I think I'm Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148868.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, vidi vidi vici, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show, my name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Today is a beautiful February the 15th, 2024. And if you like me, you ate too much chocolate. That's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as eating too much chocolate. There's no such thing as having too much money. And there's no such thing as having too much health. Give me some praise. Big C Sports is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard in the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya where the good Lord split you. As well as driving a fleet of Cadillac cars. Really do appreciate that. I love bringing you a Big C Sports podcast. I have a special guest today, as I normally do when I have a special guest. I'll bring him on in just a moment. All's fair and level, where I want to say you can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast platforms all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. What I do love saying on every show, I love giving out the PSA. I love our military veterans. We have a Veterans Crisis Line, and they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's nice when somebody's leaning back. What did Teddy say? Teddy said, it's so good leaning on somebody when somebody's leaning back. That's not what he said. Did he say? Oh, that's right. He said it's so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back. We want the real Teddy. You can't have the real Teddy. You're going to have the big C singing to you, if that makes sense to you. But I really do also want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let it be light. If that makes sense to you, I love letting it be light. I want to say this is T-Mobile. Big C Sports, sponsored by T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network. Proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to say Big C Sports is sponsored by PNC, Private Bank. Proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I won $6 billion. And I'm not shucking the job, and I mean it. I won $6 billion. I want to thank this is CNN. Proud sponsors of Big C Sports, all fair level work. I want to thank Double O, part of the National Black Wall Street Project Payout Committee. She sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities. That's through the federal government. That's called the White House by President Biden. I want to thank Senators Marco Rubio and Rick Scott out of Florida. They reintroduced a bill to restore Holocaust survivors' rights back in 2023. I want to thank Georgetown University for pledging over $1 billion and counting for 272 families of African-American descent. Their families were sold to pay the debts for Georgetown University. What? Yeah, they sold people, men, women, and children. Of course we deserve reparations. I want to thank Double O, Payout Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me this article on the United Nations. Who's the United Nations, Big C? You can Google the United Nations. And it says that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. That's called reparations now, reparations forever. I want to give that some praise because I love the thought that we can think about reparations, and people need to know that it's happening. In the meantime, when I talk about reparations, I'm the only sports show in the universe that does what I'm going to do every single show. It's important to me. I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and they're not wasting their minds. I want to give praise to the chairwoman. Her name is Camila Moore. She's brilliant, and I met them all. I want to give praise to Dr. Amy C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. Last time I saw Amy C. Brown, Dr. Amy C. Brown, we were both walking into a restaurant called Fixins, and I was fixing to tear up some collard greens. I was tearing them up. And then I saw him get out of the car, and I said, Mr. Browning. He said, Mr. Curry. I said, what are you doing here? He said, I'm about to tear up some collard greens. I said, if they have any left, because I even took thirds. Oh, he's brilliant. I want to give praise to the number one senator in the United States of America. His name is Senator Stephen Bradford. He's part of the California Reparations Task Force. The man is brilliant. Really do appreciate him. He also sponsored Name, Image, and Likeness. Really do appreciate Mr. Stephen Bradford. And he also sponsored the Ebony Alert to help law enforcement put the same resources into fighting black children when they go missing. I want to thank Council Member Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Michelle Grewes. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to our attorney, Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving them all praise. Give them praise, 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 as they all chant reparations now, reparations forever. It's time to send us a child of slavery, get our money. It's a beautiful thing when people get together and try to do the right thing. I also want to thank people. I'm working on a commercial. Now, some people say I may have a speech impediment. And maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't, maybe I do. All's fair in love and war. But I'm working on a commercial called How to Protect Your Ass Sex. What'd you say? Affleck? No, ass sex. You mean Affleck like the Doug Mixie? No, that's Affleck. My commercial is How to Protect Your Ass Sex. With the RDC team. That's Resource Development Consulting, Inc. Long-term care solutions by the book. Most people don't know, with over 33 years of experience, 3 decades, the solution was signed by President Lyndon Baines Johnson in the Civil Rights Act in 1966. He signed it. And who was with him? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's how to protect and preserve your assets. No, let me say it right. How to protect and preserve your assets. But you, Affleck. No, not Affleck. Assets. Oh, I got to keep working on that. Sometimes the duck doesn't want to wake up. But I really do appreciate things that I'm doing with the Big C Sports. As I say, I really do appreciate the opportunity of helping people protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Because the government likes to take a lot of things from us. And what I'm doing with Big C Sports, before I bring on my guest, Why should you work with Big C? 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. We simply want to protect your ass sex, if that makes sense to you. We specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your ass sex, if that makes sense to you. Without a spin down, all paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more. Protection of your ass sex, if that makes sense to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program, which can be up to 40%. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. You gotta give that some praise. You give it praise. How do you get it, Big C? 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bring on a great guest. He's a plethora of knowledge. But before I do that, I'm going to eat some more chocolate. And I even got chocolate under my fingernails. It tastes so good, I haven't washed my hands since Valentine's Day. All fair and level war. I got a chocolate overdose, but that's an oxymoron. You can't have too much chocolate. I'm going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, going to have a special guest, and he loves chocolate too. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast platforms all over the universe. It's streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Really do appreciate that. I want to thank God for all the chocolate I ate on Valentine's Day, and I want to thank God for my friend Mr. Clyde Jones. I actually stopped by his house today unannounced, which I found is the best way to get some free food. Not only did his beautiful wife give me something to eat, even the dog played with me. The dog played with me too. Clyde, Mr. Clyde Jones, how you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good. How you doing today?
Man, I feel full. All the food I just ate for free. I didn't even leave a tip. How rude of me, Mr. Clyde Jones.
We don't need a tip. We give you a tip.
I appreciate it. Well, we're honored to have Mr. Clyde Jones, a very good friend, very erudite man, very esteemed. Oh, just a wonderful person. But I'm going to have you edify yourself, because I have a few things I want to say, but we only have an hour to do the show. It might take 5 days to do the edification of Mr. Jones. But you talked about a business that can get between $50,000 to $100,000. All people need to know is that he has an MBA, 31 years, former financial advisor, a planner, a pension advisor. Also, Mr. Clyde Jones, he played Summer League Baseball with the now defunct Negro League Baseball. And a lot of people, he still plays baseball. And I think he's about 7 moons. I won't say how old you are, Mr. Clyde Jones. But you
I'm 67.
67.
I'm 76, I mean.
76. He even knows how old he is, too, right? That's all fair level war. But people need to know, too, as I always pay homage to the military for every Big C Sports podcast that goes all around the world. And Mr. Clyde Jones, he actually wrote the first legal officer affirmative action plan for the Pacific Fleet in the Navy and has Pentagon race relations as a facilitator. And as I also mentioned, he still plays baseball. He's a former Major League scout for the Chicago Cubs. Now, I told you, Mr. Jones, we only have about an hour to do our program. It would take seven days to edify you. Anything else you want to add? I know you're an avid member of the church. You know financial services like you know your name. Go right ahead, sir. Take it away, please.
Yeah, with the church, the church couldn't get the money. They had $60,000 and they couldn't get the money to build. They only had 2,000 square feet. So I was able to work my way through some people in Sonoma and down in Atlanta.
Yes. And
got the church at least $400,000, and we wound up building a $3.1 million building.
Wow, that's powerful.
17,000 square feet.
Wow.
But the thing in the military, I was a legal officer in the top 2% of the officers, and I was a lieutenant. But they didn't have any kind of a plan, and they came to me and they said, hey, can you help us get a plan together for the Pacific Fleet? Because we don't know what to do.
Yeah, they don't know what to do.
And so I became a race relations facilitator with the title by the Pentagon.
Yes.
And studied some of the courses that they had on race relations, and we just brought that out into the fleet. We would meet with at least 6 officers and at least 6 enlisted, and had separate them into the Hispanic group, the Asian group, and the brothers.
Yes, that's beautiful. This is Mr. Clyde Jones, MBA, over 31 years, former financial advisor, planner, pension advisor, also wrote the first legal officer affirmative action plan for the Pacific Fleet of the Navy, and deals with the Pentagon and race relations facilitator. Mr. Jones, I want you to tell our audience more about, as a 76-year-old man, a lot of guys are sitting on the sofa and they can't wait to watch the Wheel of Fortune, but you're out there, you still play baseball. Tell me about the baseball league you're part of.
Yeah, the league we have in Sacramento, I played in the league I had a team in Fairfield, and we played over in Livermore. Well, the team that we have here in Sacramento was over 65, and we just made it an over 72 league last year, and they're getting ready to take that national, and I pitch on the team and play outfield.
Wow. Well, you, as a pitcher on the team, you must have had a pretty strong ERA, I take it?
I guess so. I got inducted into the Roy House Hall of Fame in 2015.
Okay.
And I won my first World Series ring down in Fort Myers, Florida, at the Red Sox Stadium. In 2011.
Yes, wonderful. And then also, because a lot of people love sports, but what do you do when your playing days are over? Talk about your experience as a Major League Baseball scout. You mentioned doing some work with the Chicago Cubs and other professional athletes that you run across in your days, Clyde.
Well, one of the places that I was a assistant varsity baseball coach in McClymonds High School in Oakland.
Okay.
And one of the brothers for the Cubs, he said, since you're doing something with the high school guys, let us know when you find some guys who are pretty sharp.
Yes.
Because they can't cover all the teams in the month of March, May, and June.
Yes.
And so I would just give them information about athletes who kind of stood out as good baseball players at the high school level.
Yes.
And then they would be invited to a camp like in Modesto or somewhere where the minor league teams are at.
Yeah.
And they would do a tryout and as to what they could do. The first thing you have to be able to do was be able to throw on a fly, on a line drive, 150, 200 feet.
Okay.
Second thing you had to be able to do is to be able to get down from home to first in 2-3 seconds, and 3 seconds, 5 seconds top.
Yeah.
But you also have to be able to hit. And their hitting just comes naturally with your eye and hand coordination.
Hand-eye coordination, that's very powerful. I want to ask you something that most people don't even know about, because it's not mainstream media. You played Summer League Baseball with the now defunct Negro League. Tell me about the Major League Baseball. They let in Jackie Robinson, and they kind of took a lot of the talent from Negro League Baseball. They offered more money and facilities, etc. But talk us about that experience, the money that was lost by Negro League Baseball players by not having the proper asset protection or having the proper business setup. The league does not exist anymore, but most of the top athletes that were in the Negro League, they were better than Major League Baseball players. Clyde, your thoughts?
That's correct, because the Negro League stopped in 1960. I started playing in 1963. I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And played in the St. Louis Tandy. They called it the Tandy League, and all through Missouri and all those places.
Yes.
But as sports has moved on, we know from a financial advisor position that the average player that I like, the ones I knew from Oakland A's. I worked for the Oakland A's for a while.
Yes.
They do not get the information like a lot of other players get. We know that the average player, when they get out of the pros, they're going to be, in 36 months, they're going to be broke.
Wow.
That's over 70% of them. And we know that now that 70% of the NFL players are going to be broke right after they retire.
Yeah.
And people retire. They retire at age 42 in major leagues and et cetera. But they don't get the training or get that. They learn the game.
Yeah.
But they don't get a chance to hang around people who give them information about how to handle their money.
Clyde,
they don't grow up in environments. Like I didn't grow up in a house that knew a whole lot about money.
Yeah.
But I learned that through education.
Yeah.
And one of the things people need to do now with the internet is just go on the internet and ask the internet questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can learn all you need to learn on the internet.
Yes, there's a lot of affirmations and a lot of information people can learn. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. This is Big C Sports, talking with Mr. Clyde Jones, 31 years, former financial advisor, planner, and also played with the now defunct Negro League Baseball League. Also, what's important about Clyde for your military veterans, he wrote the first legal officer affirmative action plan in the Pacific Fleet of the Navy, and also has Pentagon and race relations as a facilitator. You know, the Supreme Court said we don't need affirmative actions anymore. Can you tell me, Clyde, if you agree with that? Because you saw the need to write the first affirmative action plan.
Yeah, the need is still, whether you, regardless of who you are, 72% of the people, once they retire within 6 to 9 years, they're going to get broke.
Yeah.
We know that from all financial services and banking institutions that they're going to be broke, and they're depending on a certain amount of income.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to me when I was talking with Dave Stewart and some others that if you just take, you got a $5 million, $20 million contract.
Yes.
Why you don't take 10,000 or 10 million, 100,000, and put it in the bank and let it stay there? Because the rule is money doubles after you keep it 70. The rule of 72.
Yeah, 7.5 years. Yeah.
No, not 7.5 years. The rule of 72 is that if you take the interest rate you get at the bank and divide it into 72. What does it come out to be?
Yes, and when you have guys signing $100 million contracts, Uncle Sam takes his portion first, and he only shows up for tax season, doesn't show up for Christmas or your birthday.
Nowadays, Uncle Sam don't have to take his money first because you have 3 years to pay your taxes, but people don't tell people that.
Yes, that's true. That's why, as a 31-year
by that
advisor,
time, you can make interest to pay the taxes off the money that you had.
Yep, that's very true. That's why I love talking to you, Clyde. But also, I want to ask you another thing that you said earlier when I was eating all the soup that your wife made today, and tell her I'm sorry, but thank you.
The new thing is that instead of trying to do stuff on your individual ID and Social Security number, is that you set up an entity, which is either like a LLC or a trust or buy a business or own a business, and you don't do anything under your Social Security number. You do it under your business name, and then you do it under your business name. Banks nowadays, in the past 5 years, are more easily to give you $50,000 to $100,000 credit limit or credit card when you couldn't get it, even if you had an 800 score and you were an individual player.
Wow, that's very powerful, Clyde. I'm not trying to act like I don't listen, but can you say that again? Because there are a lot of people that are being laid off in the last several years, and they want to know how can they work for themselves, and they need to know the advice. Can you give that knowledge one more time, Clyde, please?
Well, if they were laid off for work for everything, they can always, even if you're a hairdresser or manicurist, set up an LLC corporation, because then it's a limited liability corporation and nobody can sue you for only a certain limit.
Yes.
But all the professors, like Trump has 168 something, like 168 LLCs.
Yeah. And he knows a little something about that.
Right. And the whole purpose of the LLCs is that when you do get taxed, it's dispersed among the LLC.
Yes. That's very good knowledge.
And the banks today are giving LLCs $50,000 and $100,000 limits and credit right away.
Yes.
More so today than they have 10 years ago.
That's incredible information. As an LLC, you formed the corporation. There's so many people having their credit lines cut down, not even missing payments because banks are tightening up the purse strings. But at the same time, you just gave out great knowledge. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. This is Big C Sports talking to Mr. Clyde Jones. Mr. Jones, I want to ask you a question because you've done very well for yourself. And you mentioned growing up as a young African-American man, very smart, erudite man. Education obviously played a part in your success. What advice would you give to young black men and black women and white kids too, doesn't matter what color you are, coming out of high school where they may not get that great job that may have been offered 30, 40 years ago? What's your advice on becoming an entrepreneur? Your thoughts?
Well, the very first thing is do research.
Yes.
Find out what you... And the second thing is dummies hang around dummies and smart people hang around smart people.
Yes. And I was smart enough to get some free lunch today by coming to the right place and getting the dog to eat. The dog was looking at me like, why is he eating and I'm not eating?
If you want to learn how to throw football, hang around somebody who knows the game.
Yes.
If you want to hit, hang around somebody who's a hitter.
Yes.
Don't hang around people who waste your time all the time. You don't have to be with them all the time.
Yeah.
But at least 30% or more of your time, hang around people who know the game.
Yes.
Hang around people who know what to do with the money.
Yes.
Hang around people. You can't be an athlete and then do all this gambling and stuff, but you never hang around the people who are saving the money and making money.
Exactly. Gambling facilities, casinos are like vacuum cleaners. They just can't wait to suck money out of your pocket, and they do a good job of it. All's fair in love and war. And I'm talking to Mr. Clyde Jones, over 31 years, former financial advisor, planner, pension advisor. But what I'm really impressed with is he wrote the first legal officer affirmative action plan for the Pacific Fleet of the Navy. And has Pentagon
relations. The race relations for the Pacific Fleet in 1975, or something like that.
Clyde,
the thing of it is, people have to really understand. Don't hang around dummies if you want to learn something.
Yes, exactly. Really do appreciate that. This is Big C Sports talking to the great Clyde Jones. Has a wealth of knowledge. It would take 7 days to edify him. I want to ask you, Clyde, as you know, we talk about athletes through all their money within a few years after retirement because Uncle Sam shows up.
They're broke in 3 years. They're broke within 3 years after they get out of their pro.
And that's crazy. So why, I'm going to ask you a silly question. If they have a sports agent, why are the sports agents not advising them the way you just did in the last few minutes, Clyde? Your thoughts?
Well, one of them is they're just like athletes. Only 3 out of 10 are going to be your top guys. Only 3 out of 10 and advisors are going to be the top guys.
Yeah.
It's consistent like that, but you have to do your research. You have to have advisors and your family, and you got to have other people, 3 or more, giving you some information so that you can decide what you want to do for you.
Yes, you can decide what you want to do for you. And this is the great Clyde Jones coming with Big C Sports. Over 31 years, a former financial advisor, planner, pension advisor, and former Major League Baseball scout for the Chicago Cubs. You know, you had mentioned, Clyde, that you played the Summer League baseball with the now defunct Negro Leagues and a former scout for the Major League Baseball Chicago Cubs. Does it dishearten you at all to see the shrinkage of African-American players in Major League Baseball when at a time we had our own Negro League? Clyde, your thoughts?
Yeah, it does. It's very disheartening because all of those guys, they started out their team from like a club down the street or whatever, and they formed a baseball team and et cetera.
Yeah.
And then, but they formed the team, but they didn't get any knowledge of what to do with the little $25 they were getting per game or $50 per game.
Yes.
And they couldn't stay in the same hotels. I was 15 years old when the reason I got started is one day one of the guys worked in St. Louis at the Chevrolet plant, and he said, "We ain't got no pitcher."
Yeah.
And they said, young blood, can you pitch? I said, well, I know a little bit. And I went to St. Louis and East St. Louis, and I struck out 10 batters. They said, young blood, you pitching from now on.
Well, I know when you got an arm like that and you're a young man, were you at all intimidated by the older guys that you were playing against, Clyde?
No, because I was playing against guys who were 50, 30, 40, 50 years old. The average age was about 40, 35, yes. 30 or 40.
Yes.
And here I was 15. And so when we go to the club, I had to sit down on the end of the bench. They drink Budweiser. I'd have to sit down at the club and drink soda pop.
Yeah, drink soda pop. It's all fair level work. Hey, that's not a bad thing as you look back on it. Drinking soda pop's better for you when you're driving. All fair level work. Talking to the great Mr. Clyde Jones, over 31 years, former financial advisor, planner, pension advisor. Really impressed that he wrote the first legal officer affirmative action plan for the Pacific Fleet for the United States Navy. Has Pentagon relations. That's important. I really do appreciate you coming on to Big C Sports Podcast. Clyde, I want to ask you in a few minutes that we have left. And again, thank you for the soup, or should I thank your wife? And I want to thank the dog for letting me sit at this spot at the table too. I went outside to get my car because I left my phone in the car, and the dog jumped in my car. Clyde, your thoughts?
But the key is for the future. One, you got to do research.
Yes.
Number two, you got to hang around people who you want to be like, or you want information.
Yes.
That don't mean it's going to be perfect, but you got to get information. You got to get research. You got to look at what you want to do and find out what other people are doing that makes it work.
Yes.
And the other thing I want to bring up, you didn't, is there's a lot of guys who were in the military, but they never went to go get their business loan. They never used it. And they may have cousins, nieces, and nephews.
Yes.
Give them $100 and say, go fill the paperwork out so we can get a business.
Yes. Yes, and that's important because you did mention that about $50,000 to $100,000 you can get if you have the proper LLC set up.
That's the new way it is nowadays. Is that if you got a business, financial institutions are willing to give money to a business more so than to an individual.
That's very good knowledge, Mr. Clyde Jones, joining Big C Sports Podcast, heard all around the world. I want to ask you this thought too, Clyde, because oftentimes, I've talked to a lot of men who've retired from working and they're waiting for their pension. I know Kyle Purz just had a settlement, and a lot of people in California don't like the settlement. At the same time, you're never too old to start a business. You're never too old to work for yourself. And I think about the Negro League Baseball. It may have went away, but those people still had to find work, even though it was in the days of Jim Crow. Many went on to become successful as entrepreneurs as opposed to hoping that someone would give them a job. Your advice to people right now, they've retired or maybe they need an extra income. Well, what would you say to them?
In the old days, when people retired and everything, guys, if you go in a neighborhood where you see trucks,
yes,
that means that there's a working class neighborhood. Realtors know that.
Yes.
If they go in that neighborhood, they don't see no trucks. That means when they ain't got no money, they got to go. They broke.
Yeah.
But go get your truck and then go a van or something and start a business.
Yes.
You got to get a business name. An LLC only takes like $25, $50 to start.
Yes.
So get a business started, and you can get loans, and you can get other income, and you can start up a business.
Yes.
I mean, instead of going and opening up a shoe shine shop, you should have opened up an LLC. Then you can get some more money and get some equipment.
Yes, that is so powerful. Talking to the Mr. Clyde Jones. That's why Big C Sports Podcast is one of the #1 sports shows in the universe. I have some intelligent people, and his wife cooks such a good food. I might do it Arnold Schwarzenegger. What the former governor of California say? I'll be back. It's the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll definitely be back. That soup is very good. Clyde, as we close, I want to ask for your thoughts on no matter what the economy is. If you're working for yourself, get your LLC, go to work. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. I'm looking to bring on 1,000 insurance and mortgage and real estate brokers in 2024. I want to get, again, your thoughts on what you're doing going forward that other people can maybe join you in doing, Clyde, because people, sometimes they need a leader like yourself.
Most of it is, instead of the new entrepreneurial thing, instead of working for somebody else, what can I do to bring some in on the side?
Yeah.
You want 3 incomes coming in. You want the retirement, or you want the income coming in. You want something on the side, and you want some interest being made.
Yes. That's important.
So you
Clyde.
want, no matter the school teacher or anything, you want to figure out, how can I get 3 incomes coming in?
Yes, and that's what we offer with the Big C team with RDC 800-772-8624 or 800-772-8624. So, Clyde, I've known you for about 2 decades now. I've always learned something from you when I sit down with you. I want to ask you, and I haven't let this question at all, what advice do you have for me going forward? I have a great sports show. I'm also in financial services. I'm trying to be the greatest person that I can be, but by helping as many people as possible. Any advice you give me going forward with your knowledge, Clyde?
Well, there's no difference. There's no change. You just got to find out where the people are. People always want to work. There's some people there, even recruiting, because I used to be an HR director, but you just got to research and find out and know what you need to know to get that dollar.
Yes, get that dollar. Get that dollar and make you holler. Is that what you said? And what did they say? What was the guy? I think it was Jerry Maguire in the movie. I think it was Jerry Maguire. And Cuba Gooding Jr. said, "Show me the money."
Right.
Everybody says, "Show me the money." I think the Ohio players sang a song about that too. But everybody's talked about money over the years. But in the last minute, Clyde, I just want to say, number one, thank you for always elucidating the knowledge when it comes to just life, knowledge, financial services, friendship. You've always given good advice, good nuggets, and I really do appreciate you. Plus, you still work out, and you're only 76 years old. How do you keep doing push-ups and sit-ups every day, Clyde? Your thoughts?
Well, there are 3 days. I try to do 3 days a week to do at least 100 push-ups.
Yeah.
And then I try to do some kind of leg exercise, chest exercise.
Yeah.
And I take my 7 or 8 different vitamin tablets and gummies. Nowadays, you use gummies instead of vitamin tablets.
Okay.
And protein drinks. Because if you take your medicine or blood pressure medicine and you drink it with water, all it does is go into the stool.
Yeah.
So you take gummies and a little small protein drinks. That helps.
Yeah, it all helps.
You got to give 10 minutes of exercise 3 times a week.
Yes. Well, you're in great shape for 76 years old. I thought you were sucking your stomach when I first stood next to you, but no one can suck in their stomach for 10 minutes while they're eating a bowl of soup, so I know you're the real deal. That's all fair level word. Well, I'm going to tell you, this is Big C Sports.
Well, here's the other thing. I don't eat any food until after 1 o'clock.
After 1 o'clock. Okay, well, that's something that we can all learn.
You can tell people you can eat whatever you want, but don't eat any food every day, called modified fasting, and not until after 12 or 1 o'clock.
Yes. Well, that's great knowledge. I can only, like I say, edifying you would take 7 days, and I mean that. And I appreciate talking to you as I get a lot of updates from you by text messages and then picking up the phone and calling you Mr. Clyde Jones. I'm just very honored to know you. I think you're a class act. Really do appreciate your wisdom and your tutelage and the fact that you still do more push-ups than I do. I'm going to have to pick up my push-ups.
Go to church.
Hey, go to church.
Go to church.
Don't forget to go to church and give God the praise, all fair level work. Talking to Mr. Clyde.
There you go.
Mr. Clyde Jones, I want to just thank you for following and being a part of Big C Sports. I will send you the link when it's done. And for any parting thought for anybody else that feels like, oh my God, the economy's tough, the robots are taking over, what am I going to do to buy food, clothing, and shelter, Clyde? In the last 30 seconds, your thoughts again.
Research.
Do the research.
Still research.
Yes. Do the research. Well, I can only thank you enough, Clyde. I appreciate you very much. I want to wish you a super fantastic day.
Folks, even if you ain't got no food, research on how to make some food.
Peanut butter and jelly works all the time. That's Mr. Clyde Jones. Really do appreciate him coming on the Big C Sports Podcast. I'm going to take this call, the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. And when I come back, I'm going to talk about more that's going on in Black History Month. This is Big C Sports Podcast. You can hear us all over the universe. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, then back for the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. and streaming on 4 TV applications. Just had the great Clyde Jones, good friend of mine, over 31 years, former financial advisor, also worked the first affirmative action plan for the Pacific Fleet. You know, my show is big on sports and reparations, and not many people can say that they have that kind of clout on their program. I want to give Big C Sports some praise. I want to give it praise, and I thank God for everything that's coming into my life. But I also want to make sure that I play one of the greatest speakers in the history of the universe, the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Listen to what he said about reparations.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
You got to give that some praise to late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking about reparations. And that's what Big C Sports is all about. I love what I do with Big C Sports podcast. Really do appreciate having Mr. Clyde Jones on. And then you heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talk about reparations for the descendants of child slavery. I want to just tell you, I really do appreciate having more LEADA in my life. Who's LEADA, Big C? LEADA is an acronym for Love is the Answer. If you have love in your heart for anybody, you do things for them. It should be mutually beneficial, but you do things for them. The Missing Link, Long-Term Care Solutions by the Book, over 3 decades of experience, RDC Consulting, a business development consultant. My job is to help over 1,000 insurance brokers and real estate brokers get together to create more income and opportunities, a guide to protect and preserve and transfer wealth. I'm doing a commercial on how to protect your assets. Affleck. No, not Affleck. That's the duck. Assets. What? Big C, you sound like the Affleck commercial. No, Affleck is Gap Insurance. Protect your assets. It's how to protect and preserve and transfer wealth. Affleck doesn't do that. You get that with the Big C team. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. We just had the great Clyde Jones on. Over 31 years, former financial advisor, Major League Baseball scout, knows everybody in sports, and talking to former athletes all over my lifetime and things that they go through. I want to bring a message clear, because just because you have a sports agent, it doesn't mean that they protect you from liability. Oftentimes they get the 3 or 4% when they sign the contract. But what happens to, why are so many people going broke after making millions? Retired athletes, some valuable lessons from their financial victories and their agonizing defeats, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. We've heard that a lot growing up when I was a young boy on ABC White Road to Sports. But when you think about athletes, as much as anybody that works a 9 to 5, most people that work a 9 to 5, they never come across $50 million or even $1 million a year. But retired athletes too often face financial ruin. We just finished Super Bowl 58 in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. But according to authoritative reporting by Sports Illustrated, about 78% of NFL players, they either go bankrupt or they face some serious financial problems and a lot of stress within 2 years of ending their game. We just saw Super Bowl 58, and not everybody that played in that game is going to be back next year. You know, the 49ers fired Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator, and it doesn't make any sense. But even if you're a professional athlete or coach, what do? You can learn to work for yourself. But with 78% of players, NFL players, going broke or bankrupt or face some serious financial stress within 2 years of ending their playing careers, while 60% of NBA players go broke within the 5 years of retiring from the game. How does that happen? More recent data from the National Bureau of Economic Research estimated that 2% of retired football players, they file for bankruptcy within the first 2 years of their retirement, and almost 16% by year 12. How does that happen, Big C? Well, professional athletes, they may reach the superstardom in the arenas and on the playing fields. They used to touchdown, home run, three-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. All the way where? Because outside of the playing surface, the football fields, the baseball stadiums, the NBA basketball arena, their lives outside the stadium, it can be difficult to navigate. And they may have a lot of financial strain. Everybody's pulling on them like a vacuum cleaner pulls on dirt. I need some money for this. I need some money for that. Can you give me this? Can you give me that? And they keep sucking on you until you're broke. You ever been sucked on? It's good, but somebody's sucking on you. Like I was sucking on that chocolate last night. I still got some on my fingers. I'm still sucking on it. But it's not good to be sucked on when people sucking money out of your wallet. And a lot of athletes, they say that, when they're great and they're playing sports, and this is for any person 9 to 5, but most people when you go to work, you don't have 20,000 to 60,000 people cheering your name. And I've been in those stadiums where you got 80,000 people, it's like an airplane engine taking off. It's euphoric. But when the game's over and the fans don't know who you are and they don't care unless you have a jersey on, what do? A lot of people face a lot of challenges. And in some instances, when it's time to hang up the jersey, those $1 million salaries can disappear and leave nothing for retirement. Talking to many athletes, some guys are so foolish, they'll sleep with any woman that opens her legs for them. Oh, you look so good. I've never seen someone look as good as you. Oh, I just can't wait to have you. And the guy's butt so big he can fill up both sides of the Ferrari. I'm not knocking anybody for body shame. I'm not trying to body shame anybody. But they will find women that will lay down with you. Oh, you're the best I ever had in my life. Never had a man like you. And they get those guys, some of them, I'm not trying to make this anti-women. I'm just saying what I've seen. If you think I'm wrong, then you don't know, you don't have your eyes open. But there are people who will go on these men like a vacuum cleaner jumps on a carpet, and they'll suck everything out of you. I'm not just saying women, I'm saying some investors do it too. Everybody has an investment for you. They want you to give your $1 million, but they don't have $1 million to give you. If your investment is so good and all you need is $1 million, if you're already rich, why don't you put up the money? Well, we want to use your name because you're a professional athlete. And I don't have the money. I'm just a Ponzi scheme trying to suck money out of your pocket. And a lot of athletes, has happened to them. Why are you going to invest money with somebody and they don't have the money they're asking you to invest? I've known many athletes that got sucked on for millions of dollars. Now, being sucked on can be good, but it could also be bad, especially when they suck everything. It can disappear. One would think that making hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of a career can be kind of a nest egg that you don't outlive in your non-working years. However, the realm of professional sports and the half-lives of one's earnings can be devastatingly short-lived. Money management problems are not unique to everyday people who might work at 9-to-5 jobs, nor are they superstars or retired athletes who rake in $100 million in their career. That's a lot of money. So some athletes and some financial advisors, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. The Big C team, I've talked to people from the Olympics in Japan, and I've talked to people from Africa, from Dubai, the United States, Canada, Mexico, in Europe. You need long-term care. It's going to happen. So 1 out of 2 of us is going to need some long-term care. Over 3 decades of experience with our elite team, Resource Development Consulting, Inc., I'm a business development manager. I want to talk to every professional athlete in the universe and their sports agents. And some people say, oh, Big C, I already got an agent. My agent takes care of me. Well, if the agent takes care of you, why are so many guys broke within a few years of retiring? I tell you, they come to these athletes, they say, man, I got this great opportunity. All I need you to do is give me $5 million. And the guy may have an ego so big, he think, well, I can put up the money. And they got other guys saying, this guy put in $5 million, that guy put in $5 million, that guy put in $5 million. How about you? Are you going to put in $5 million too? And some guys are dumb enough, they do it. And then the crook, you can't find him. He steals the money! So some tips from some successful retirement based on their stories of professional retired athletes who either found the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat at the end of their sports career. They lost it all. When the money stopped rolling in, the women go away. The bank wants the house back. They want the fancy cars back. They want the jewelry back. All your friends, they disappear. When you start asking them, hey, how about that $100,000 I loaned you? You think you can pay it back? No, right now, man, I'm going through some hard times right now. But let me get back to you. It's about financial intelligence. Clyde said, as Clyde Jones said, you got to be around smart people. But when you have that kind of money and the women all want to suck on you and tell you how fine you are, it can happen to ladies too. Don't think women don't get taken. Oh, baby, you're the finest thing I ever seen in my life. I can't wait to have some of you. And women go through it too. Everything that look good to you ain't good for you. You don't know where those people have been. Whatever they give you, you ain't the first one to have it anyway. So it ain't that special. You got to have people that love your heart. You know it when you spend time with people that love you, people that don't. Being sucked on is good. It can be very, very good being sucked on if that's what you want. But when the people who just want to take from you, they show up, they look good too. Professional management, one of finances that plays a large role when it comes to financial longevity, regardless of whether you're a professional athlete or a 9-to-5 worker. A former NFL player, I'm not going to mention his name, but he played at the University of Texas, an All-American. And now he works in financial services. Not going to get him free publicity. But he said, I see it every day in my practice with just normal people. It's pretty easy to be financially dysfunctional. And it generally takes the old school of hard knocks to realize that's not the way to do it. Now, I'm going to tell you, I work with some pretty slick insurance people. They were going around asking people to invest tens of thousands of dollars. And they were stealing the money. And some are in prison to this day because God's going to catch up to people who are crooks. You can't get away with that forever. It's called karma. So now the NFL considers financial education so important that they have a program that provides players with knowledge to manage their personal finances and improve financial decision-making. The objective of the program is to ensure the long-term financial stability of players throughout the league. The seminars teach players about cash management, insurance, tax planning, estate planning, investments, retirement planning, and other related topics. So if that's the case, why are so many people broke within a few years after they retire? They say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I know I had one of those horses. In addition to learning by building and maintaining your own plan, they try to give you seminars and webinars to answer questions, to help us all learn about ways to strengthen our finances. We all want to be billionaires. I know I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad so I can learn to protect my assets! Assets! That's Gap Insurance. Assets! It's asset protection, 800-772-8624. There's so much that we can learn, that you learn with the Big C team. And people work long hours. One problem for pro athletes or former athletes is that when they usually have a very short window of time to make money from sports, players with median length careers earn about $3.2 million in a few years. Well, don't forget Uncle Sam shows up not for your birthday, not for Christmas, but for tax season. And then he wants half Eddie. Now, the normal human begins typically working from our early 20s through our 50s and 60s. But if you really want to build wealth, it's a good idea to work longer. People hear about the great Warren Buffett. He's widely known as a wealthy partner of many people, and in part due to his investing acumen, However, consider this analyst. There's another analyst that talks about Warren Buffett. If Warren Buffett had waited until he was 30 to start investing and stopped at retirement age, he would have amassed mere millions instead of billions. And that's a colossal difference. The longer you can take to save and invest, the longer it's going to take to build up a net worth. But with the Big C team, as I say, and economists agree, we want to build up agencies all over the country. We have a guide to help you protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Clyde Jones, former 31-year financial planner, talked about it. People can create your LLC and keep working. And banks are more apt to give you a loan when you're an LLC as opposed to a person without an LLC walking in asking for money. So final thoughts on this. I believe that reparations are due for descendants of child slavery because I believe it's going to happen. I want people to Google Senate Bill 490. California Senator Stephen Bradford already has in California legislation to create Freedmen's Bureau for California, the same way President Lincoln created Freedmen's Bank back in 1865, March 3rd, of 1865. And he had 50 white trustees in charge of the money. Over $60 million of black Americans' money in the bank because they could not get regular financial institutions to let them put money in the bank. The bank was so egregious, it allowed you to put the money in the bank for white people to invest, but the black Americans could not get a home loan, a business loan, or even a grant to go to college. And those white trustees, they stole the money! And that was established by President Abraham Lincoln. That's why we deserve reparations. There's no way you can say that you can take from people and not pay them for the labor. Black Americans never got the chance to get bequeathed anything from their ancestry, work from cradle to grave. But white Americans, they got the Homestead Act of 1862. Congress gave it to them, over 300 million acres of land for free. The eighth one of the world is compound interest, according to Albert Einstein. Look at how many people make wealth over that. That's part of the wealth gap in the United States. So we got to aim to maintain a desired lifestyle over our entire lifetime. I wanna just grow by leaps and bounds. I know so many athletes and people who work regular 9 to 5 that are trying to figure out ways to make more income. I'm also trying to figure out more ways to make more income. And I believe I found a way because I have access to the number one platforms and podcasts on 29 platforms all over the world. You can't get that if you're not doing something right. I've also been written up by the Associated Press. You can Google it, March 30, 2023. Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, discussed reparations on his Big C Sports podcast. That's by the Associated Press. NBC News, CBS News, ABC News, Fox News. So I have credibility. But I also pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force. Nobody does that on any sports show. Now they shuck and jive over what athletes bigger, stronger, and faster. But what if we could get our beautiful, intelligent black men and beautiful, intelligent black women, and white Americans too, everybody's included, to advocate for reparations for the descendants of child slavery? It's important. You're not going to keep your money forever. But we got to build, maintain, and establish wealth. We got to do that as a country. I can only do so much with Big C Sports. I love the sports business, and I love what it's done for me. But it's not about me. It's about all of us. And that's why I want to say I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I don't want to shuck and jive. Anything I say, you can Google it. I want to get 1,000 men and women to go to work in financial services in 2024. And it's going to happen. Big C Sports will become $1 billion corporation. I already see it. I just keep giving God the praise. I keep giving God the praise. And I want to work with sports agents, professional sports agents all over the United States to let us help them with their planning for financial athletes. Because if the NFL's program was so great, there'd be no people going broke within a few years of retirement. That's important. There were descendants of civil rights icons that united at the White House just on Wednesday, Valentine's Day. The families of Frederick Douglass, who helped President Abraham Lincoln craft the Emancipation Proclamation, Harriet Tubman, you heard about the Underground Railroad, Booker T. Washington, Ida B. Wells, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Emmett Till, and many more. They met with Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden at the White House. They didn't even talk about reparations for their descendants of child slavery. And to me, that's a shame. Because California Senator Stephen Bradford's talking about reparations. Why can't we get the White House to talk about it? They want to study it. President Biden said he wanted to study it. We need to do more than study. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. You can all say you heard it first on Big C Sports. As I always tell you with the Big C Sports podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber. You can call Lyft. You can walk it off. You can sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you may save may be your own or someone you love. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. Anyone who loves you, they don't go upside your head. You need more LEADA in your life. LEADA is an acronym for love is the answer. Anybody that loves you, they don't put their hands on you. Call 911, let them figure it out. That's my story, I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Well, hold on, Big C, you didn't do Drew Boudini Brown. That's right. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to say reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. I love paying homage to the beautiful words of our 16th president, President Abraham Lincoln, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when they said, pay reparations now, pay reparations forever. Come on, White House. You heard it before. People cheer louder at a football game. Pay reparations now, pay reparations forever. Come on, say it. Say it like your heart, mind, body, and soul believes in it. Can you see it before you see it? Join Big C Sports in saying, reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.